In today's video, I'll show you a step-by-step guide on how you can create a professional Shopify store using the PageFly page builder. Shopify's built-in editor doesn't offer many customization options, but with PageFly, you can design a stunning store that boosts sales and conversions. So there are two main ways on how you can create pages on PageFly. You can either build a page from scratch or use one of your templates. First, I'll show you how to create a page from scratch, then we'll go over how to customize a template. Timestamps are available in the description so you can easily follow along. Alright, so now to start, we need to install the PageFly app into our Shopify store. So you want to click the link in the description, which will take you here to the PageFly installation page. And from here, you want to click on the install button, and then you would need to click on the install button here again to confirm the installation, and it will now be added into your store. And now here we are, we have now successfully installed PageFly app into our Shopify store. And from here, we would want to navigate here on the left side where we can see the menu of PageFly. So we have the pages, sections, analytics, extra functions, and preferences. So this may seem like a lot, but don't worry, it is very simple to understand. The features and functions are direct to the point, so you won't have a hard time using them. But as for this video, we'll be focusing on the pages section because we will be creating a page from scratch and using a template so that you'd be able to directly apply this into your store. And from here, we are going to click here on a blank page. Now you can choose a regular page, home, product, collection, blog post, or password, depending on what kind of page you'd want. In my case, I'll just go for regular. And from here, we have the choice to choose or use a legacy editor or Gen 2 editor. As for the Gen 2 editor, it is not yet available, and as you can see, beta is now closed, so we can't use this right now. So we're just going to go for a legacy editor. But by the time you're watching this, it is probably already available, so make sure to try that out because that is the better editor to use. So from here, what we're gonna do is that we're gonna discuss the buttons here on the left side because these are quite important. And one is the page content. From here, you can see the sections and you can see all of the elements. So basically, this is where you can navigate throughout your pages. This is where you can see everything that you have input into your page. Next is the elements. So this is where you can add elements into your pages such as layouts, tabs, slideshow, content list, and some other elements right here that you might want to add into your page. Next, we have the third-party elements. So this is where you can integrate apps into PageFly to make your pages better. So in here, you can manage integrations by clicking here, adding apps into your store, or integrating it with PageFly. And next, we have the page templates. So we'll be using this later on this video, wherein we would be using one of these templates to make our page creation process much simpler and easier. Next is we have the SEO checker. So this is where you can see your SEO score on how much your page is optimized for SEO to rank higher in searches. Next is the page settings. So this is where you can set your page title, your page type, and page URL. As for this one, I'm going to set my page title into sample tutorial page. Next is we have a theme template, and then we have the social sharing image and so on. And then we have the version history wherein you would be able to see the changes that has been made into your project or page. Next is the custom code editor for coding. And then we have the background processes. This is where you'd be able to see them. And then the open live chat. This is for the live chat support. So now we're going to go back here into elements. And the first thing that we're going to do to start creating our page is to add an element. So from here, what we're going to do is that I'm going to go for layouts first. So I'm going to click on layouts. And from here, we would be able to see different styles in here. So you could go for this one, which is 1 of 1, or you could go for half or 1/3. You can go for 1/4 and some other layouts. In my case, I'll just go for a simple one, maybe this one right here, and drag it out. And from here, I now have 2 columns right here. So you could drop an element right here, as you can see. And now I'm just going to select the image element. So I'm going to click here, and now these are the styles for the images, and I'm just going to choose this one and drag it here, and also same for this one. So I'm just going to go back into image again and drag this again right here. So now I have 2 slots for the images. So now to put an image here is that you simply want to click here on the image block or element, and from here you want to navigate into the right side. So this is where we would be able to see the different options that we have for each element. So you might have a varied options right here depending on the element that you are currently selecting. So now I'm selecting the image element. So now I can click here on select image, and from here I would now be able to add an image into this element by clicking here on add from URL, and then we would need to enter the URL of our image. So now to do that, we simply need to go into google.com. So I'm here now, and I have searched for my image. So this is my product in here. So I'm just going to choose this image right here, and I'm going to right click on the image and click on the copy image address, not the copy link address. In order for that to work, you need to go for copy image address. Now I'm going to go back, and from here, click on add from URL and just paste the link and click on add image, and then it should now be uploaded. As you can see, it has now been uploaded successfully, so all you have to do now is click on the image and it will now load up here. However, if you'd want to upload an image from your device, then what you need to do is you want to click here onto go to media files. And from here, you'd be taken into another page. And now from here, this is where you would need to upload your image. From here, you can click here on add from URL or upload from computer on the top right. In my case, I'll just go for upload from computer, and all I have to do is click here on add files to view my storage, or I could just simply drag the photo into this one right here. So I'm just going to drag this, or maybe this photo right here, which is a phone. And from here, I'm going to click here on upload. And it will now be uploaded here into our media files. So just wait for it. And there it is. So now let's go back. And now we're here. So now we're going to click on this image again. And we're going to click on select image. And then as you can see, it has now been added right here. And we're going to click on done to save it. As you can see, the image here was gone because we didn't click on done, which means it was not saved. So we're going to do it again. Click on done. And there it is. We have now added photos. So now we're going to add another section. The next thing that we're going to do is going to go into elements. And from here, layout. And from here, I'm going to go for one by one. And then I'm going to go drag it here to create another section. So let me just do it again. One by one and right here. So this is where you need to drag it. As you can see, it says a plus section. So that is an indication that you'll be adding another section. So from here, I'm just going to go for a heading right here. I'm going to put it right here. So select heading and then select the style. I'm going to select this one and put it here. And then from here, I'm going to go for an image again. Image. And then I would want the square one. And I want to put it here just beside this element. So just like that. And as you can see, it would now adjust just like this one. So yeah, you could just position it wherever you'd want. Next, I'm going to add a paragraph right here. And then I'm going to add it here. And then a button. So I'm going to go for a button here, this one. And I would want this button here, right there. Now I'm going to select my image again. So same method. And this time, I think I'm just going to go for the phone right here. Next, I'm going to go for the heading. Oops, I didn't save that. Sorry for that. Click on done right there. And now I'm going to go for the heading, and I'm just going to type out iPhone 14 Pro Max. Just like that. This is my heading now. And then from here for the text, I'm just going to go for buy this phone now at a discounted price. Limited time only. Maybe something like that. And now that we have the content of our text, we just simply need to click on it, and from here, navigate into the right side, and now we can customize however we want it. So this is where we can see the options on what we could do with our text. So from here, let's go to the general tab first, and here in the content, we can make our text bold, italic, underlined, whatever you'd want, and some other options. So to make it bold, you can click here on bold, and as you can see, nothing happens. You would need to select your text here first and click on bold, and until then it will now be bold or italic or maybe underlined, so whatever you'd want. So yeah, that is how you can do it, because if you don't select the text, then it will not apply. And then next is that we can change the font and the font size later on. So if you're wondering how you can do that, so yeah, we'll be doing that in styling. Next is we have the HTML tag, and then we have the display. We can also show the icon right here if you'd want to, like the right or the top, wherever you'd want it. But in my case, I don't want it. And then next is the action. So you can make this text clickable. So when the customer or visitor would click on this text, you can make it go to URL, open a pop-up, scroll to section, send email, or call number, whatever you'd want. And next you have the visibility. So you can make this hidden on desktop, laptop, tablet, or mobile, whatever you'd want right here. And you have these buttons here wherein you can switch views. You can see the view in the PC version, the laptop version, the tablet version, and the phone version in here. So this is really helpful if you are going to optimize your website for all kinds of devices. So you would really need these 4 buttons in here. Next is we have the tracking, attributes, and animation. So you can just select the element that you'd want to animate. For example, this text. You can go here into animation, select your animation, and then now you can see it animate. So you can just choose whatever you'd want. And you can also go here for when mouse over. So basically how this works is that you want to select your animation here first. Let's say I'm gonna go for bounce in right here. So what this does is that when you hover your mouse into the text, just like this one, it will now prompt its animation. But it's not doing it as of now because we haven't saved and the page is not yet published. But yeah, you should see that animation when you have published the page. Now next, let's go into styling. So first, let's select our text and styling. So in here, we have the global style. So you can choose different presets here of the text heading that you'd want. So I'm just selecting this one right there. And then next is you have the edit global style. So you can edit them if you'd want to right here. So it would take you into another page, which is here in the extra functions. But we're just going to opt out of this because we'll not be focusing on that. So next we have the normal state, mouse over state, and the active or selected state. So I'm going to show this to you and how it works so that you can understand it perfectly. Next is we're going to select normal state, and from here I'm going to change the color into red. As you can see, it would change automatically. Now I'm going to go back and turn it into black again. And this time I'm going to go into mouse over state and I'm going to turn it into red. As you can see, nothing happens, right? It didn't change in color. However, watch as I put my cursor into the text. It will now turn red. So that is the mouse over state. So I have changed the color red here for this text when it's in the mouse over state. So it would only be seen when the cursor is at the text. So it's basically the same thing for the other element. You will also find this feature also useful other than text. Now I'm going to go for the normal state and I'm just going to go and set this into yellow, for example, right there. And then as you can see, when I hover over it, it would now change in color because of the normal state and the mouse over state. All right, now that we have understood that, the next thing that we're going to do is the spacing margin. So you can set this here if you'd want to, but as of now, I don't want to do that. So I'm just going to skip it. And then the typography, we have the font family here. This is where you can change your fonts. So for example, by the way, when you're changing your font in here, this would also be affected by the setting that you have chosen here. So if you're going to go for the mouse over state, and as you can see, when you change this into a different font, as you can see, nothing happens until you put your cursor in here. So it would also affect the typography in here. So yeah, you want to make sure that the state that you choose here is correct. So I'm just going to go for normal state. And then I'm going to change the font for the normal state right here. As you can see, the font has been changed. And actually, I'm going to change the color because it's kind of hard to see. Let's just go with black right there. And now what I'm going to do is scroll down again. And from here, we can change the font size, however big we'd want it to be, just like that. Let's go for just 100 so that it would be really big. And then next is we can go for the text alignments in here. You can go for different text alignments and then text styles right here. And then you could go for more settings. You can go for the line height, letter spacing, and so on. So I'm just gonna go and set this back to default right here. Next, you can also go for transform text right here. So if you want to, you can do it right here. And we have the background for the text, and then the background image. If you want to, you can set the color or the image. Here in the border, we could also do that, and then display style and some effects right here, and some coding here. And then you could also go for override theme styling so that you would be able to prioritize PageFly styling over your current Shopify theme. And now let's go and customize the paragraph next, now that we're done with the heading. And from here, let's go here, and basically the same options in here. They just differ slightly because this is a heading and paragraph, but they are both the same element because they are text. And from here, we can go for visibility, attributes, animation, and so on. And as for the styling, basically the same thing. You have the content color, but you don't have the states now. And next, you have the spacing in here, the typography, text styles, background, color, image, border style, and the other features. Next is that we have the button here. So we could actually edit the button here. So here in the button, this is our option. So as you can see, there is a notice. So if you would want to have a purchasing button, you can use the add to cart element instead. But as for this one, I'm just going to go proceed with this button. So I'm just going to ignore this. And from here, we could choose the button type. We can go for text only, text with icon, or icon only. In my case, I'll just go for text only. And from here, we can now change the text. Let's go for buy it here. Maybe something like this. And I'm going to make it bold, select it, and then italic, something like that. So yeah, this is how you can change the text. And then here in the display, we can enable the full width. So in here, you could actually do it like this. As you can see, with this full width, it would now look like this. With this disabled, it is now like this. So yeah, it would depend on your preference. Next, we have the select action. So from here, you can now choose what this button does when it is clicked by the visitor. You can make it go to URL, open pop-up, scroll the section, send an email, or call number. And then you could also go for its visibility, its tracking, attributes, animation right here. So you can set this all up. And then you can go into styling, wherein you'd be able to see the global styles, the states, the overall, the content color, spacing, typography, the same things right here. So yeah, you can just set the settings here. And now what we're going to do is that we can also do or use this button here. So you could adjust this by dragging it. As you can see, I could now drag this and it would now adjust the spacing between the elements. So you could also do this right here in order for you to freely adjust the proportions of your elements and how you would like it to fit on the page. So I'm just going to go and return it to its normal state. All right, so now that we know how you can do multi-columns here on PageFly by using the layout elements and how you could customize the basic elements like the text and photos and the buttons here. Next is we're going to go into content list. So this is great if you would want to create testimonials. For example, we're going to go for this style because this style is the most suited for testimonials. As you can see, they have the stars right here. So that could be a star rating, which is quite appropriate for testimonials. So I'm going to drag this here as a new section. And here it is. So from here, we can now input the image right here by selecting the image in here and so on. So we already know that. And then the action, the tracking, attributes, animation, and so on. And same goes for the styling. And now from here, what if you would want to add the stars? So you just simply need to click on the stars here and click on duplicate. And then as you can see, it would now increase the numbers. So let's make it 5. Click on stars and click on duplicate right there. And now from here, what if you would want to color the stars so that you'd be able to make it like 4 out of 5 stars, 3 out of 5 stars, and so on. So for example, I'm going to make it right here. And now from here, when we click here on this icon and change the color of this by going into the general tab and go into styling and click on the content color, and you can make it red, green, whatever color you'd want. Let's go for yellow, for example. right here, and I recommend that you copy the hex code so that you'd have the exact same color as for the other stars. So I don't like how it's yellow, so I'm just gonna go and adjust it just like so, and I think this is good. So again, we would like to copy the hex code in here, and from here we could go into the other stars now, and from here we can now go into the colors again and paste it right here. But as you can see, when I make changes here, it also goes for the other content. So what we're gonna do in order for us to only apply it into this content list is that we're just gonna simply go and select the content list element here. So I'm gonna go click here, as you can see, and we would now have these options on the general tab. And now from here, you simply need to click here on each content, and then you'd have the option to sync the item or no. So when I go here into no on content list item 1, which is this one, I can now change the color of this without affecting the other ones. So I'm just gonna go here and change the color again, paste it right here. And as you can see, it is only this one that was affected. So in this way, any changes that I've made here on this part will now not affect the others. And then if you would also want to apply that to the others, then you can go back into the content list, and from here you could just make sure again that each of them has the sync item into the no option. And same goes as for this one, no, right there. So now any changes on each of these parts will now not affect the others. So yeah, that's it. So as for the other parts, it's just text. So you already know how you can do that. You can just go here into general and you can customize the options here however you'd like. And the styling, we have already discussed how you can customize the text element. All right, so now let's move on to the next element. So this time we'll be going for the countdown element. So we can just search for it right here. It says countdown, click on it. And from here, we have different styles. In my case, I'll just use this one, and I'm gonna apply it here on this page where I think is appropriate. So I'm gonna drag this here, and I'm gonna put it somewhere here at the top, right there. So they would have a sense of urgency that this deal is limited. So this is a great way for you to create that sense of urgency to those customers. So yeah, countdown element here is really useful if you're building a store. Now I'm going to show you how you can set it up. So you simply want to click here on the countdown element, go here into the right side, and from here you can see the countdown start, start time, countdown restart, and countdown end. So first is the countdown start. At this one right here, we're going to go for on the first visit right here. So you have these options here. So if you go for the specific time, then you would need to select the time here and the date. And you could also go for the on the first visit and or on every visit. But as for this one, we're just gonna go for first visit. So this is basically a deal. Let's say this is a deal that is only available for those people who is visiting our store for the first time. And then we have the countdown restart. So I'm gonna set this to never. So this is only a one-time deal. And then the countdown end. So this is also very important. We can go for the specific time or specific period. So again, if you're going to go for a specific time, then you would have to set the date here and the time here exactly. And as for this tutorial, we'll just go for the specific period so that we can just set the time here on our countdown. And from here, we can go for the days, minutes, hours, and seconds. So whatever you'd want to input. So in my case, let's say I would want it to be just 1 hour. So I'm going to go here into hours and type 1. You could also go for the days, minutes, and seconds by typing the value here. So for days, let's say 7 or 6. As you can see, it is now set in here. So as for this one, I'm just going to set this into 0 because I just want 1 hour right there. So now we have set up the timing here into our countdown. And from here, we could now just click here again, and we could customize the styling here. And now we can change the font into others right here. As you can see, we can change the font of the text and then the size of it and then the text styles and so on. So it still applies, and even the color right here. So yeah, this is how you can set up your countdown element. It's very easy, and you have some other options in here like the countdown controls, where you can redirect when the timer ends. So what this does is that when the timer runs out, you can redirect your customers into a page wherever you'd want it. Like for example here, redirect them to a URL. So you can click here and select URL and input the URL here, or the page here on your store, or even here in the collection of your products. And now, next is that we have the option here for more settings. You can click here and then you can show the week, show the day label text, show our label text, and many more. So you can click here on show weeks, and as you can see, you would have the weeks option now. And now you would have that this option in here that you would be able to set if you'd want to go for weeks. But as for me, I would remove that because that is quite a long time for a countdown. So yeah, this is only a situational option right here. So if you'd like that, this is where you can set it. And yeah, that's it for the countdown settings. Now, the next thing that we're going to do is that we're going to go into the Elements tab. And from here, we're going to go into Shopify. And from here, we could add more elements in here from Shopify outside of PageFly. So these are the built-in elements here in Shopify. So you could go for the product details, for example, and then you can select the style and drag it right here. So for example, I'm going to go in here and place it here. And as you can see, it says select a product. So we need to click on this element and click here on select a product. And now from here, we can now choose our product. For example, this one, and I'm going to click here on this product and click on select. And it will now be imported right here, just like this one. This is also according to the Shopify theme that you'd have. So you might have a different design. So yeah, this is how you can do it. And now as for the other elements, I will not be able to go through them one by one because it would take a lot of time. But yeah, essentially, if you are dealing with an element here in Shopify editor or here in PageFly, all you have to do is click on the element in here, and then you would be able to know the options that you have here by navigating into the right side on what you can customize on that element. So just explore the options in here. And basically the things that I have explained on the general tab and the styling tab here would apply to almost everything here on the elements tab because they contain text, images, and so on. So yeah, that's it for the elements. Now, once you are done with the page, once you're satisfied with everything here now, what you want to do is that you want to make sure that you click here on save and click here on save so that you would now be able to go back into your work if you'd want to edit some things. And now you can also click here on preview if you would like to view your page that you have made on your site in real time. But as for me, since I only have the free plan, I would not be able to do that. And now we're going to go back here. So we're not going to publish this just yet. And now let's go create one with a template. So it's much easier this way. So you can just go here and click on create from template. And you can choose the page that you'd want to create. In my case, just a regular one, and go for legacy editor. And from here, just select the template that you would want to create. So for example, I like this minimalist design. So I'm going to click here on preview so that I would be able to see more details about this template, like the type, the style, the features, and how many times it's been used. And as you can see right here, this is quite a slick design. I like the simplicity. So I'm going to click here on these buttons here. We have these different views. So this is only available for the PC view and the mobile view. And click here on select once we have now confirmed that we would want to select this template. Now, all we have to do with this template now is basically the same thing with the starting from scratch that we did earlier. So, but this time it will be much easier because everything is pre-designed already. So all we have to do is just replace the text with our own. For this one example, I'm going to go for my products for sale, or my products that is discounted for Christmas, maybe something like that. And then yeah, you could just modify the text right here and basically just do minimal editing here to the elements. And if you'd like to add a section, you could easily do that here. Just do it again and just go into layout and just drag this out, and then you'd be able to add another section as you can see right here. So yeah, all you have to do now is just edit the elements. So yeah, basically just have to click on the elements and then navigate into the right side on what you could do to customize that element. And from here, on this element, we can select the collection. And from here, I'm just going to select this, click on select, and it should now load up right here. So yeah, that's it. And now once you are now satisfied with what you've made, you can now click here on save and you give it a title. So as for this one, I'm just going to make this sample. Right here, I'm just gonna rename this into sample page and click on save. And then once it's saved, then now you would now be able to publish it. So now let's click here on publish. And from here, we can now give it a title. So we have already done that. And then the page URL is this one. And click on publish now so that it would now be published. And take note that the free plan would only allow you to publish one page, which is good for a one product store, but for a general store, then the paid plans would be the way to go, which we'll be discussing later on. But first, let's go for publish right here. Click on it and it will now be published. So let's just wait for it. And there it is. It says page published. So now it is now good to go. So now we can go back. And then as you can see here in the dashboard in the pages, you can see that it says publish. And then we can click here on the preview button to see how that page would look like. But yeah, as you can see, we will not be able to do that. We would need to enter using our password. And we could do that by going here into our online store. And from here, click on manage password and you have your password in here. Just copy that. And now go back in here and just enter your password and click on enter. And now you should now be able to enter to your store. And you could just go back here again into preview. And here you would now be able to see the page that you have just published using PageFly. So this is how you can do it. So now let's go into the pricing of PageFly by going into the preferences. And from here, click on change plan. And here are the plans here on PageFly. So I suggest that you go for the paid plans if you have a lot of products or pages that you would need to publish using PageFly. So you could go for unlimited, which is $99 per month, but it could be lower if you go for the yearly deal. So you'd be saving 16%. So it would be in total $990 per year. So you could just go for this one right here, which would give you unlimited publishable slots. And it would also include everything you need to skyrocket your sales and expand your business, like the 24/7 customer support to all of their users, which is a great help for beginners. So make sure that you use the link in the description if you are planning to use PageFly. Alternatively, if you would want to hire us for Shopify store design, then feel free to contact us using the link in the description. That's it for this video. Thank you for watching and see you on the next one.